Hello, and thank you for knitting my pattern Seashells Legwarmers. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make the increases in the double knitting part of the seashell pattern. If you want to jump to a specific section of the video, use the timestamps below. So, the increases. All increases in this pattern happen in the double knitting part of the pattern. As double knitting creates a double fabric, this means you're going to have to make the same increases first on the outer layer and then the corresponding increases on the inner layer as well. Since this pattern is knitted using only one color at a time, that means you are first making the increases in the color A on the outside, and then you are knitting the corresponding increases in color B on the next round. I would say that the make one increases are easier to knit than the lifted increases, but they don't work unless the increase is between two knit stitches or between two purl stitches. That is why you will have to use the lifted increases at the tip of the seashell. Okay, so to show you how this is done, I'm going to use this beige yarn as my color A and this red yarn as color B. And I've already prepared by knitting the regular ribbing. And I've also knitted the first pattern round, which is in color B, and it's also the setup round. I'm going to pick up color A. And we're getting started on round 2. So first thing we're going to do is make a lifted increase, and it is knit right loop. I'm going to find the stitch below the first stitch on my left needle, one row down. It's this one. I'm lifting it up on my left needle, and then I knit it so that it becomes twisted. You see the twist over there? That is to prevent causing a gap. Next, I knit the stitch. And then we have the knit left loop, also a lifted increase. I'm going to find the stitch 2 rows down below the first stitch on my right needle. This might be difficult to see, but it's this one over here. Now you can perhaps see 1, 2, 3. And I'm also going to knit this so that it becomes twisted. And I don't think it makes a huge difference which way you are twisting the stitch, because it won't be very visible either way. But I would perhaps recommend knitting them so they are twisted in different directions at least. But it won't be very visible either way. And the next stitch I'm slipping it without a yarn over. Then I slip the marker, and then it's just brioche knit and slip 1 yarn over until the end of the needle. Okay, so we're getting started on round 3. Round 3 is perhaps the round that requires the most concentration, as you will need to move stitches around using a cable needle. I'm picking up my color B yarn, and the first stitch, I'm going to just slip it. The next stitch is the purl right loop, and it's going into the purl column over here, but we are going to turn our work around a bit like this to see the purl column from the inside. It looks like this. And I'm going to find the purl stitch below the first purl stitch on my left needle. So here is the first purl stitch, and the stitch below it is this one. I'm lifting it up on my left needle. And I'm going to purl it so that it becomes twisted. You can see the twist. That's the twist. I'm slipping the next stitch. Here you can see the next stitch is now in the wrong spot. This one, I'm going to have to move it using a cable needle. So I'm slipping this stitch to a cable needle, holding it in front of my work, so that I can knit the next stitch, no, purl it. And then I slip the stitch back from the cable needle to my right needle. And now the only thing left to do is the purl left loop. And again, I'm going to turn my work, have a look here on the inside. I'm going to find the stitch 2 rows down below the first purl stitch on my right needle. This one, like so. 1 stitch, 2 stitch is the third one from the first purl stitch on my right needle. And as I want it to be twisted, I'm going to turn this stitch around on the needle like so that I can purl it and it becomes twisted. There. And now you can see every second stitch on my needle is a light color knit stitch, and every second stitch is a dark color purl stitch. That's a good sign. That usually means that you have succeeded in your lifted increases. And I'm just going to slip my marker, and then it's slip 1 yarn over, brioche purl 1 until the end of the needle if you are using double pointed needles. And these lifted increases are done in the same way also on rounds 28 and 29. Okay, so next I'm going to show you how to knit the make 1 increases. So here I have knitted up until round 6, and I'm going to get started in color A. The first stitch is a knit stitch. In the next stitch I'm slipping it without a yarn over. And here we're going to make the make 1 increase. And I'm going to find the strand that runs between the 2 knit stitches in color A. And I'm lifting it up on my left needle so that it becomes twisted like so. And then I'm just knitting it. So here I'm knitted into the twisted strand over there. That's the make 1 knitwise. And next I'm knitting the stitch, slip without a yarn over, and then it's the same thing again. I found the strand between the 2 knit stitches in color A. Now lifting it up on my left needle so that it becomes twisted. And I knit it. And there you see the twist. The next stitch is a knit stitch. And then I slip the last one without a yarn over. And then it's just a marker, brioche knit 1, slip 1 yarn over until the end of the needle if you are using double pointed needles. There. Next we are doing the same thing on the purl side. This is round 7. I'm getting started in color B. here you can see that we have a few places where there are two knit stitches next to each other, over here and over here. And that shows where we are going to put our make one purlwise increases, as we are wanting our purl stitch to be between these over here, between these over here. So first I slip the first stitch, then it's a purl, slip without a yarn over, and here we have two knit stitches beside each other. There I'm going to put my make one purlwise, and as we did in the increases, the lifted increases, we're again going to turn to have a look at the dark color side of my work. And we're doing the same thing as we did in the knit side, finding the strand between the purl stitches. There, lifting it up on the left needle, and then purling it so that it becomes twisted. There. Next I'm slipping the stitch without a yarn over. Then we have a purl stitch. Then slip again. Here is one purl stitch missing. We're going to make one purlwise by lifting the strand between the purl stitches up on my left needle, and then I'm purling it so that it becomes twisted. There. And then it's just slip, purl, slip the marker, then it's slip one yarn over and purl till the end of the needle. Here is the same thing with the increases, that in the end you should have every second stitch be a knit stitch light color and every second stitch should be a dark color purl stitch. There you go. And the make one increases are knitted in the same way in rounds 6 to 15 and also in rounds 32 to 41. So that is how you make the make one increases in double knitting. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out.